Okay, welcome back to the lab. We have seen how to log into the labs.bigswitch.com, and then how to launch a lab, and how you can connect to the controller through CLI and through GUI. All right. Then we explored different menus and sub menus available in the Fabric, right, and in the controller itself. So we went through Fabric, then we went to the logical part where we learned about tenant segments policy. Then we have opened Edge. So Edge has got endpoints, root lookups, multicast, MAC membership. So when we talk about endpoints, I told you, you can add endpoints into that. Okay. So you can say which segment, obviously the endpoint has to be part of any of the segment, right? Then you have to have the name, MAC address, description, and the IP address. Okay. Then attachment type, whether you want to connect it to the switch port, or whether you want to do it as a remote VTEP. I told VTEP is a remote connection between two different data center, two different edge. You can create VTEP, and then you have also, it can be part of the interface group. So there are different options available to create endpoint. We will see in the lab for sure. Then you have routes where you can go and basically configure default route for going outside bird, or between two data center you want to have a specific routing, you can do. You want to do YPF, you can do that. So all these things are possible. You can create a route. Then you can say, which one, what is the preference, subnet mask. It's mostly static route. Right? This is an IP. What do you want to do that? And the route is specific to the tenant. So it will be. So it will not be available. What route routing you are going to. There is a lab. We have this in our lab. Just hold on a minute. Just hold on. Somebody is downloading something. So this is the test path. You can see here, we can have source, destination, receivers, protocol. You can say what kind of test you want to do. What is the source endpoints? You want to do endpoint or between the BGP, what kind of troubleshooting you want to do. So you can also have it here. So you can select endpoint. If you already configured endpoint, you can select them like VMs and workloads. You can select them, and between the endpoints, you can do a test. So you want to do L1, L3, L4, sorry, L3 or L4, and destination you can also select as endpoint, multicast, BGP, or you can create your own custom destination. Okay. And then you can see the protocol ICMP, TCP, UDP. If you're saying DCP, it's going to, you can also talk about specific ports. And then they also create a shortcut. You want to troubleshoot VXLAN or NFS, HTTP, SMTP, BGP. So you can also create the shortcuts. So when you launch this, you are doing a specific troubleshooting for a particular protocol. So this is on the test path, which is very helpful when you are getting into problem. Settings, Fabric, I don't want to get into that. Integration. So integration is, I will just open, I already opened it. So we can integrate with VMware vCenter. That's the next lab, in fact. So what's going to happen? We can see the VMware, all the ESXi host, everything into the Fabric itself. Okay. All ESXi hosts should have a unique host name. Then you say the name of that host name, username, password, everything. then you will be able to see them under okay. So you can click here and start integrating with the vCenters. That's one integration option available. Then also what you can do, I talked about the other part, which is integrating with Nutanix. Am I right? There is also option available. You can click Nutanix Prism. So that's for orchestration. And then you configure the parameter for Nutanix, the name of the Nutanix server, IP address. Then there's already API. It will start integrating with Prism, which is part of Nutanix. The same way you can also integrate with what? VMware NSX. Yesterday we discussed all these three things in yesterday topology in the theory. Right? So you can again give NSX, start adding the name, description, vCenter, which vCenter, what is the NSX manager IP address, username, password. So by this, it will start communicating with the NSX manager. Then you will see the entire menu inside the fabric, inside the controller. So that becomes a single point of orchestration for us. Fine. Okay, so let us start now our lab. We have gone through the different menus. This I explained this so that you get a feeling of what this entire menu looks like. From once you log into the controller, how the entire menu, what are the different options available for you to play with. So I think so far so good. We will now get into the lab. So this is the lab guide I downloaded. You can see in the screen. How do you download? Go to the Fabric, direction, click on that. You will find this 116-page lab guide. You click here and download. That's it. Fine. So once you download this lab guide, the lab guide has almost 10 different labs. Okay. So it talks about the introduction. Okay. And then it has got. It talks about spine, leaf, rack, host, router, firewall, just to understand what is the topology. Right. As I told, it's all zero touch networking. Am I right? You have a MAC address and the name. Then you connect the management interface of the switches back to back, all the management interface. Then the entire fabric will come up. Okay. Are you able to see this lab outline? There are 10 labs. I'm sharing the screen. Okay. So the first step is to bring all of them under the fabric. So configuring fabric switches for spine and leaf is the first lab. Okay. Then the second lab is to group the interfaces, part of endpoint interface groups, so that all the leaf interfaces going to the spine will be part of one interface group. This is the second lab. The third one is about creating tenants and segments. So without creating tenants, you cannot create a segment because segments are part of what? Tenant. Am I right? Then we will create a routing within the tenant. So from segment web to segment app, you want to send traffic. So you need to create a routing between them. So that is intra-tenant routing. Within the tenant, you do routing for segment, within segments. Then we will configure something for inter-tenant routing, which is between two tenants, company X and company Y, they want to talk. So they need to go to a interface. What is that? System tenant. They have to connect to the system tenant and communicate. Then we will talk about connecting to the external network. Okay. Then we'll talk about multi-tenant environment, how it looks like. We'll do troubleshooting. We'll insert some services and explore REST APIs. These are the these are the 10 different labs which we'll be doing today. So, okay. So let me start with the first lab. So configuring the fabric. Okay. So we know that now 3 spine and 6 leaves we have. All right. And it's something like 3 dual top of the rack switch. There are 3 racks, and each rack has got 2 leaf switches. Right? So 3 racks. So in actual deployment, you use MAC address of each switch to pre-configure switch role before booting up the switch. Okay. But in this lab, we already configured the MAC address, so it becomes easy. So we can go and verify, log into the controller and set show run switch.